Spoilers! 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 The following podcast contains spoilers for Rango. You have been warned.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your town, and this town ain't big enough for the both of us. Miguel Magusto is on the other side.
Yes.
And I'm drawing the line.
That's damn tootin', rootin', cootin', dootin', bootin'. I don't know what any of that means. I'm so sorry.
Scooting along, moving to the next segment. Let's go. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not bad. I just got my hair cut and just did myself, jumped out of the shower, feel all nice and sparkly, like I'm from Twilight or something, like a little vampire.
Say it out loud. Vampire.
Little spider monkey. But I'm not too bad overall.
That's good.
I can't complain.
Yeah.
I've not watched too many movies. I'll admit
No,
that.
what? Shocker.
I've been admitting that for the last many weeks.
You have been, yeah.
But I have been cranking the absolute living fuck out of a TV show that I told you about.
Yes.
I can't remember if I mentioned it last week or not.
You did.
But I did. Look at that. A show called Banshee. Not to be confused with Mike's famous movie that's known around the world called Banshee.
Yes.
Definitely won't go into the review section and say anything about this random show instead of your movie.
That motherfucker.
That's just me personally. So this is a fucking wicked, weird show, but it's...
Wicked hardcore.
Wicked hardcore. But it's not from Massachusetts at all. It's so over-the-top Pennsylvanian and just so intoxicating. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows at this point who Anthony Starr is from The Boys as Homelander.
Yes.
He's pretty much that, but less racist, and he has more range in this show.
Yeah.
He's actually really good. I want to see him in more stuff. He's fantastic. This show is, like I said, it's crazy over the top. Anybody who lives in Pennsylvania knows that for the most part, most of this is like accurate, but then there's a lot of stuff that's just umphed to the 20,000th degree on things. Like, let's say Amish Mafia. Yes, there's a little bit of an Amish Mafia theme in this, but it's like to the 20,000th degree. It's insane.
Yeah.
Overall, it's a good show. It's got some flaws, but it's, in a way, it's like a guilty pleasure that I'm not putting down, even though I'm on the last season now.
I started to watch it.
3 seasons.
I started to watch it. Got like 15, 20 minutes into the first episode. Mm-hmm. Not that it was bad. It just wasn't what I wanted to watch at that time.
Yeah,
and
once
it didn't get to the Pennsylvania yet, so I was just like, I'm going to watch this at another time.
It literally, I think another 5 minutes you would have gotten there.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but I turned it off when he was pulling into Amish country, so.
Yep. I like it. I would recommend it to some people just for maybe the overall laughs of like, hey, this is where we live.
Yeah.
It's crazy. A lot of skin too. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's boobs within the first 30 seconds.
Yep, it's a little Skinemax film, so that's or film show. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of skin, we're moving on to the Little Mermaid that Mike and I saw. Skin because she's got feet. It's no longer a dorsal fin. Don't get that mind out of the gutter.
Yeah.
That was pleasantly. All I'll say is that you should watch the review. Because we did one. It's on the YouTube. I did a little editing on it. It was nice. Mike's a horny bastard for Vanessa.
Hot Ursula, as I like to call her.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But after that, of course, I've watched Rango, which we will get into in just a minute. But, Mike, what did you get into?
I saw 5 movies, a little light week again for me. For me.
Of course.
The first one was another in my Ingmar Bergman collection called All These Women. My official review for this is that Disney is very lucky that they didn't call this an extremely goofy movie because this movie is extremely goofy.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it's an Ingmar Bergman movie, but it's a comedy, and it is like a hilarious comedy. It's essentially about this guy who's doing a biography on a cellist, and the cellist has like 5 or 6 girlfriends and wives or whatever. And it's just, it's hard to explain. It's just so incredibly goofy, and like kind of like a mixture of. It kind of reminded me of like, I don't think you've seen any Marx Brothers movies, but it was kind of like Marx Brothers a little bit. Just with an Ingmar Bergman twist, but yeah, it was extremely goofy, and I laughed a lot. I really enjoyed it. So that's called All These Women, and it's really funny. Also has the wonderful Harriet Anderson in it. I believe that's her name. Let me check. But she's funny and also an extremely lovely looking lady. Yeah, Harriet Anderson. For those of you who care. I don't know if anyone cares. I don't care. Shut up. Then I watched The Little Mermaid, which Glenn said we have a YouTube video review for, so you can check that out. Then I watched a 2012 horror movie with Daniel Radcliffe called The Woman in Black. I got it from Netflix DVD. This is the 3rd time I've gotten it from Netflix DVD, but the previous 2 times I sent it back because I wasn't in the mood. Forced myself to watch it this time. And yeah, it's all right. It's fine.
That's pretty much what I've heard about it always.
Yeah. Like, it's better than you think it would be with the title and it being like one of Daniel Radcliffe's first films outside of Harry Potter. And it's like your standard horror movie, but it's pretty decent. So yeah, that's The Woman in Black. Then I watched Rango, which we'll get into in just a minute. And then last night I watched A Gift from God. Rewatched it.
Can't believe you watched me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I watch you every day. But I rewatched the Danny Boyle movie, Sunshine, starring Cillian Murphy. And also Michelle Yeoh's in there, which I forgot she was in there.
Yep.
Rose Byrne is also in there. Chris Evans is in there.
Stacked cast.
Very stacked cast. Pretty much only one person in it is not a major movie star now. And he's still in things. Like, he's still got a good career. He's just not like, a very big movie star. But yeah, I love Sunshine. First time seeing it in probably 10 years or so. It's been a long time since I've watched it, and I'm so glad I rewatched it. The fucking sound design in that is
so good.
Yeah, like if I didn't have my surround sound, I would have lost so much in the sound design. And it's one of those movies that just makes me like really want people to watch that at home and then watch it in a theater and see why they should watch things in theaters, or vice versa,
Yeah,
compare and contrast is essentially what I want them to do, because you would lose so much without surround sound in that movie. God damn. But yeah, that's all I watched, so let's get into Rango.
Oh, here she comes. You better run, Mojito.
What? I thought you said don't move.
That was before. Now, you run.
Here in the Mojave Desert, animals have had millions of years to adapt to the harsh environment. But the lizard? He's going to die.
What was that for?
You're a stranger. Strangers don't last long here.
Rango is an ordinary chameleon who accidentally winds up in the town of Dirt, a lawless outpost in the Wild West in desperate need of a new sheriff. Directed by Gore Verbinski, written by John Logan, Gore Verbinski himself, James Ward. Is it Birkitt or Burkett?
I want to say Burkett. I want to say Burkett, but I'm not sure.
Because I was thinking about that as I was seeing the credits. I'm like, ooh, that's going to confuse me and stumble me when I start doing the podcast.
Yes.
And of course, guess what? It did.
It did.
Stars Johnny Depp, Isla Fisher, Tomothy, Olyphant.
You did it again.
Olyphant. I literally...
No, you did Tomothy, not Timothy.
Why do I do that?
I don't know. Tomothy's not a real name.
It feels like it should be one. It feels like he should. I think it's, you know what's fucking me up? It's his face in IMDb. He looks like a Tomothy in this program.
But Tomothy's not a real name. How does someone look like a name that doesn't exist?
He's making it work. Abigail Breslin, Ned Beatty, Alfred Molina, Bill Nighy, Stephen Root, Harry Dean, Stan Ray Winstone, Blake Clark's in there too. I heard his voice. I was like, oh, my guy. Lots of names in this big cast. So yeah, picked this. It had been generations since I had seen this movie.
Generations?
Yeah, and honestly, I don't remember most of it at all.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch it with you, and I felt like it was probably a good watch, but we'll have to get into that, shall we?
Yeah, yes, we shall. I first watched it in college, of course. 2011, I was in college. Watched it in theaters. Watched it a subsequent 5 times in theaters because, you know, college kids are bad with money, and as was I. Now, I wouldn't have to be bad if it weren't if Regal's Unlimited program existed back then, but it didn't. Sorry, I had to plug that, even though we're not getting paid to. But I absolutely loved it back then. I've been probably, much like Sunshine, it's probably been about 10 years since I last watched it. But I always remembered like loving the fact that, like the Fantastic Mr. Fox, they recorded all the audio together, like all the actors acted out the scenes and recorded the audio that way. And it really, you know, it's not something that you would probably notice if you didn't know that, but once you do know that, it's so apparent that it like runs so much more smoothly than like a standard animation film.
Well, not only that is IMDb's showing it as you spoke, but like the BTS of them all kind of interacting in the room together on these scenes. Not only like do you notice it a little bit because performances are running a little bit more smoothly, but also everybody just seems like they're genuinely having more fun on set instead of just. I mean, obviously, having more fun on set than just being stuck in a room, not with your co-star, you know, working off of each other and stuff like that. You're actually just doing the scenes out, and then they'll animate it later, which is super, super nice. And you get all the mannerisms and everything. I guess, I mean, obviously they didn't do the mocap. I guess they didn't really have to, but it was, I guarantee you, they got like facial just cues and stuff like that from the shots they took. So it really shows.
A lot of animators will record themselves doing the movement just to see how it looks. Yeah. So it's definitely used as a tool for animators to kind of get an idea, even though they still have to manually animate it themselves. On like mocap, which does it automatically. So that it definitely does help seeing the performances, go, and then you could just change minute things. But yeah, you're absolutely. It definitely felt like they had more fun, and you could tell. This is probably. I mean, it's no lie that Johnny Depp is kind of. I don't want to say lost his love for acting, but he's definitely in the past his roles have been less and less good, and a lot of that has to do with like maybe a loss of passion or whatever for whatever reason, whether it be personal life or just kind of getting tired of the Hollywood machine or whatever. But it seemed like he legitimately had fun doing this, and you could tell in his vocal performance completely.
Vocal performance and just watching him in this BTS just now. Dude was having a ball.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then I read that he never watches his own movies, but he watched this and the other couple animated ones. He loves watching the animated ones, but he will never watch his own live performance.
Yeah, that's understandable because it's just your voice versus your actual face on a 20-foot screen. But I think it's so apparent that this was just a fun set to be on. They capture the tone and feeling of a Western film perfectly. I love the storybook aspect of it with the Mariachi Band kind of acting as narrators. And it's also just got beautiful cinematography for it. And like everywhere from like the Western things to there's like.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because they consulted Roger Deakins on it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
If you're going to consult.
I saw his name pop up in a credit. I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you consult one of the greatest cinematographers to have ever lived, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
So like everything is just firing on all cylinders with this film. It's hilarious. It's got touching moments. I love the surrealism of it, like the dream sequences and the spirituality of it with like the armadillo roadkill. The dream he has with the floating goldfish and then meeting the spirit of the West, which is just a Clint Eastwood type.
Yeah.
It's just such a fun movie that also knows how to kind of like create this experience that is surreal in a way.
It's an absolute, pretty much, it feels like an absolute love letter to Western films altogether.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, you got Clint Eastwood and Tomothy. You got Tomothy Olyphant.
Tomothy
voicing.
Elephant.
Obviously, you know everything Clint Eastwood did with Western films. Mr.
Yeah.
Tomothy himself was in Deadwood for so long. I feel bad for him in a way because I feel like he gets stuck doing cowboy roles so often now.
Yeah, even his
Kinda
role in
Mandalorian.
was it Mandalorian or Boba Fett that he was in? Or both. He might have been in both.
Mandalorian.
Okay.
I remember seeing the scene where Miss Mando goes up and he's like, "Give me the armor, you fucking bitch."
I think. Did you watch Boba Fett?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah.
He might have popped up in there, but I'm pretty sure.
I think he's in both. I think he's in probably Mandalorian more, but I do feel like he's in both.
I could have sworn he got, you know. But hey, that you didn't hear that spoiler from me.
Yes.
But I feel bad because I feel like he's usually stuck in, you know, cowboy roles. I mean, Clint Eastwood was probably as well for so long. I feel like Timothy's just stuck in it for a while. Can't get out of it, but it's fine because he was great, and especially in this. The voice was like Clint Eastwood-esque, but it's still, you could obviously it was his own in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this movie is such a just straight up love letter to Western and Western films, and just straight up movies altogether. There's a lot of references in this shit.
Yes, there are plenty of references, even to non-westerns, really.
Yeah.
But obviously mostly westerns. The whole like idea of it also kind of being about ecological conservatism with like how transporting water from one location to a city really kind of destroys certain ecosystems.
Yep.
I think that's kind of a noble thing to do and what otherwise would just be a fun movie. Like, yes, it's still a fun movie, but it has a serious message about how, like, you know, Americans, not probably other countries too, but like the United States of America will like direct a bunch of water to a desert just so people living in a desert can have grass, which they don't need.
Yeah.
And it's
Definitely all countries have a little stake in that for sure.
Yeah. But this being obviously in this, it's Las Vegas, which like Las Vegas and LA, there are so many yards in Las Vegas and LA that have grass. That's just like, you could just have really cool desert landscaping in your front yard and not have to mow it. But these idiots choose to water it and then mow it. So,
well, it'd be one thing if they just had fake grass, like, if you want the look of grass and like tired of seeing so much desert and just coming home and just, that's whatever. But
there's a jewelry store near us that has fake grass.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you don't need fake grass because you live in a place where grass it doesn't need to be watered.
I guess they're just too lazy to actually mow it, but
it's so small too. It wouldn't take it would take like 10 minutes to mow.
I wish I understood humanity.
Yeah, me too. But my favorite part of this is probably the Mariachi Band. I think they're funny in their delivery, and also the songs they sing are pretty cool. The thing that shook me the most about them is that the lead mariachi guy who plays the accordion is not Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
Because he's like when you know it's not Antonio Banderas, it's obviously not him.
Yeah.
But like before I looked on IMDb, I was 100% certain
I was
it
in the
was Antonio
same boat.
Banderas.
I promise you.
And then like I couldn't find him on IMDb, and then I just looked for a mariachi accordion, and it wasn't him. So I was like, "Oh my god!"
It was about like halfway is when I actually realized that it wasn't. I was like, "That's not him." It sounds just like him, but it's not him.
It really does, and it's like, it's like a more depressed sounding Puss in Boots.
Yeah,
is the voice that he's doing, which was just kind of, I don't know. I love the Mariachi Band, and this was very surprised that was not Antonio Banderas. But yeah, it's got like the crazy action sequences in this too, like when they steal the water back from the mole family.
Yep.
Fucking bonkers! All the action that's going on in that. They're like combining musically Valkyrie by Wagner with like the banjos of Deliverance.
Yep.
The movie Deliverance, and it's like fucking crazy. I loved that entire sequence of the running away from the mole family.
Yeah, everybody and everything about this movie was. I got a little hiccup and it hurt.
Yeah.
Everything and everyone in this movie was on their grade A, just ready to go. Because the soundtrack was amazing, the cinematography of it was amazing. Obviously, the animation's great. What the biggest thing about this movie that I liked is with Johnny Depp. It could always be like hit or miss. I mean, especially like the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
With this, it just reminds me, like, even though it's all vocal, and I mean, obviously he did the on-set stuff. When he's on his game, he is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And this is just, of course, it's animated, but like he's so good in this, and it absolutely is insane. That was my favorite part about the movie, because I love a movie where he can just absolutely shine, and this is, to me, one of his top shiners, even though it's not even live action.
Yeah. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Like I think without him, I think this movie would go down just a grade. Everybody else is great. I don't want to knock, off
Everyone
anybody
else
else's.
kind of blends in, which is the whole point of the movie, is that
like,
he sticks out like a sore thumb.
It like you just said right there. Like Isla Fisher, she sounds great, but I didn't even know that was Isla Fisher. That's how good she was.
Yeah.
But everybody else feels like they have the same kind of tone, especially all the townspeople. Mm-hmm. So like you feel like their voices mix, and you don't really know who's who at a certain point. That was just me, though. It could be. I mean, besides Bill Nighy, but he was like another villain. Well,
him doing an American accent was absolutely terrifying.
It freaked me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Like I think this
Timbers
is the first
were
time.
Shivered.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen him in something where he didn't have his normal accent. Mm-hmm. Well, in the movie Living, his last movie, which I believe he was nominated for an Oscar for, he's fantastic in that, by the way. But he doesn't have an exact of his normal accent.
Yeah,
but it's still British. In this, it's like a southwestern American accent, and of course, being the villain, he's a giant snake, and it's honestly terrifying how scary his voice is when he's.
It's super scary, and like at first you're like, I know that's Bill, but also is that Bill? Because I've never heard him do that accent before.
Yeah, same here.
So it was good, but I think for sure, besides those few, everybody kind of blends together,
I'd agree.
But Johnny's was so good, and you could tell he just gave it his all in this, and it made it way more worth it to watch it just because of that.
Yeah. I also love that his character isn't like perfectly good. Like he's a little bit of an asshole sometimes.
This is exactly what I wanted to say. I've been thinking about it all night because I'm like, I'm going to fucking forget it. Obviously, you've watched Uncharted, but you haven't really played the games.
Yeah.
The character from that, Nathan Drake, is fucking Rango. Because Nathan Drake, his biggest character like trait is just how lucky he is, and just the dude can't die because luck is just, he's always rolling 20s.
Yeah.
He and Rango are the same because no matter what situation they're put in, somehow they always end up just having the best luck. What was it, like Domino from Deadpool as well? Mm-hmm. Just it always just works out for them, and I wanted to point that out, and that amazed me, and I wanted to pat myself on the back now.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mentioned that, I kind of feel like we were robbed of a good Uncharted movie. With instead of it just being like a Tom Holland trying to be a James Bond type.
Yeah.
We could have had a Johnny Depp in Rango type character where he's just kind of a clumsy asshole who
we could have definitely had
lucky.
an amazing Uncharted film, and it would have transferred to TV so well, because obviously this is a clear cut version of how that could have went. I mean, obviously it's animated, but it would have transferred to live action so hard and well. But we're not talking about Uncharted. But hey, it fucking worked. It was so funny to see the situations he was put in, falling out of the sky and somehow bouncing off shit or grabbing a hold of a bat and just. It was so good.
When he got yeeted into the sky while dressed as a woman, he was just like blissfully flying. He was like dancing.
He's like, oh.
But to go back to my point before you rudely interrupted me, you fucking
I'm an
asshole. Yeah. No, but I love that he's not just like a perfectly nice guy. Like he's kind of selfish and an asshole a little bit, but in a lovable way, not in a way that's just like, in kind of a way that a child is, where like, childs don't understand that they have to share the world with other people. So it kind of felt like that. And obviously, he's a lizard. If it were an adult doing that, it'd be annoying, unless it's Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and Step Brothers. Then it's funny. But because he's a lizard or gecko, whatever he is, it's just kind of funny. And so, like, it lets him grow as a character, where he goes from being like this selfish person who's really just lying and getting lucky for his own gain, to being embarrassed by Bill Nighy's character of the snake. What's his name? Rattle Jack or something? Rattle Jim?
Jake the snake.
Jake the snake. It really doesn't. No, it's Rattlesnake Jake. Close. But so he gets embarrassed, and then when he goes on like his whole like trippy trip to see the Spirit of the West. That's when he changes and isn't as selfish anymore. But it's a deep character for as goofy as it is, which I love. It's just a great movie overall. I am glad that it still holds up after all this time. I
would like to say, I honestly think this movie's kind of a masterpiece.
I'd agree. I don't think that's a stretch at all.
I only say kind of because I feel like, in a way, because of the jokes and the kind of love letters to everything, I feel like it kind of takes away from its identity of being a masterpiece, because a lot of it is just like paying homage to a lot of stuff instead of it being itself in most ways. But it is itself because of the homage of everything before it at the same time. So I'm in the pickle there, where it's so fucking good. It's still so fucking good. I think it's just one step away from a masterpiece because of how much of the movie is made with a lot of its jokes and homages.
Yeah.
That it just slightly takes away from its like full on independence,
Yeah, I'd agree.
But other than that, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, that's just I feel like if this weren't a studio animated film, it probably would have, strayed out on its own and become its own thing.
Yeah.
With studios, they want that kind of stuff. They want things that are going to entertain adults.
Yeah.
Which without those things, this is still very entertaining to adults.
Yeah. Obviously, speaking of which, like the subtleties with the jokes and stuff, like it's a kid's movie, it's PG, but there's so much there for adults to just laugh at and understand the references.
He lands on the windshield of his character from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. We can't stay here. This is backcountry. That character, which I love that little nod to that character, but I think you're right. It could have done more to stick out on its own, but I still think it's a fantastic film, and I know you do. I know you do too. I would still call this a masterpiece because I do think there is an art to doing movie references without them being too obvious, and I think this does it pretty well.
I think if maybe it had 5 to 10 minutes of where like an extra 5 to 10 minutes of where it wasn't doing like it like felt more of its own independency on top of the hour 47. I think it would have sold it 100% as a masterpiece to me.
I'd agree.
Including all the jokes and stuff and homages.
Yeah, I think that definitely would have benefited from it. But yeah. That's really all I got to say. I think it's a great film. Loved rewatching it. I can't wait till my boy is over his Cars phase, and then I can show him this movie.
Yeah, it's going to be a much better experience overall.
Yes. You got anything else to say?
I think that's honestly it.
Okay. Well, that does it for our review for Rango. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes to the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Glenn, this was your movie to pick that you picked. You picked this movie. You picked it.
This movie was garbage, man.
So does it go on the KFR shelf?
I don't want it anywhere near the shelf. I want it above the shelf. I want it in a frame. I need it up there. I need it up there in the original Nickelodeon DVD case.
I think I have that.
I do too. I
Blu-ray
got it
case to be specific, but
I don't have the Blu-ray case. I do have just the original DVD.
Is this one of the ones you got at Goodwill?
Goodwill? Yeah.
Nice.
For most people who don't know, I've been having a little collection of old, like, nostalgic childhood movies. In Rango, I saw Rango in the orange case. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm not getting that.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
dope.
So I snagged it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike, what do you think, buddy?
I think that this is one of the best animated films, especially 3D animation.
Yeah.
Within the last 10, 20 years. I mean, 20 years, just because it's older than 10 years. It is the fact that it's not more of a classic than it already kind of is. It's a cult classic.
Yeah.
But I feel like it should be a more mainstream classic because it is fantastic. The character design would probably scare some kids, which is probably why it's not more popular than it would be.
Yeah, I guess I get it.
I'm honestly just trying to find a reason because to me it's bonkers that this isn't more popular. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie and it absolutely deserves to go on the shelf.
Bada bing,
bada boom. So Rango makes it onto the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Streaming Roulette Week.
Yes.
So, for those of you who don't know, we spin the very real wooden wheel with all the movies that we subscribe to via the subscription services. The wheel is the side of Rhode Island, and we spin that 3 times. And we pick the one out of those 3 that we most likely want to watch. We want to watch it. The one we most want to watch.
You got there. That's what counts.
Yeah, I got there. So without any further ado, here comes spin number 1.
Sunshine? Thank God. Yep, we're doing it.
No, I wish. Ice Age. From 2002.
I can't believe that was your first spin. That's crazy.
It's so crazy. From 2002, this is going to be on things. Hold on, right now it just says that. It's going to be on Disney Plus. Disney Plus. Is he in this?
Oh, he was one of the fucking tigers.
There you go. So yeah, Ice Age, the first one on Disney Plus. The story revolves around Sub-Zero heroes: a woolly mammoth, a saber-toothed tiger, a sloth, and a prehistoric combination of a squirrel and rat known as Scrat. Directed by Chris Wedge and Carlos Saldanha. It is written by Michael J. Wilson, Michael Berg, and Peter Ackerman. Starring Dennis Leary, John Leguizamo, Ray Romano, Goran Vishnik, Jack Black's in there, Cedric the Entertainer, Stephen Root, Diedrich Bader, Alan Tudyk. I feel like we're missing someone. Jane Krakowski, Lori Badgley.
Well, the first movie, there was only really like 5 people.
Oh, yeah, that's true, I guess.
Otherwise, it would be Queen Latifah and a bunch of other.
So that is Ice Age. That's a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. That's a surprisingly high rating, higher than I thought it would be. Yeah. Not that I think this movie's bad. It's just higher than I thought it'd be. And 61 Metacritic score. That's more around where I thought it would be. And yeah, so that's Ice Age on Disney Plus. That is our first choice. Here comes spin number 2. Johnny Dangerously.
Ooh.
With Michael Keaton.
I've watched this, but it's more of like I fell asleep to it.
Same here, kind of. That is going to be on HBO Max, also just known as Max now. Where else is going to be?
Hate everything about it. Yep.
Yes, and Hulu apparently. So yeah, Max and Hulu. I hate that they just call it Max. So this is going to be. It's always going to be HBO Max. Johnny Dangerously. 1984, set in the 1930s, an honest, good-hearted man is forced to turn into a life of crime to finance his neurotic mother's skyrocketing medical bills. Directed by Amy Heckerling, written by Norman Steinberg, Bernie Kukoff, and Harry Colombi, starring Michael Keaton, Joe Piscopo, Mary Lou Henner, Maureen Stapleton, Peter Boyle, Griffin Dunne, Dom DeLuise is in there. Danny DeVito's in there. Let's see. That guy looks like Werner Herzog, but is not Werner Herzog. And so, yeah, that is going to be on HBO Max. Johnny Dangerously. Here comes spin number 3. Aquila and the Bee. Okay. I have not seen this. I am aware of it because I ran projection on it in 2000. Oh, no, I did not in 2006. I'm confusing that with another movie. Aquila and the Bee, that is going to be on Freevee and I think just Freevee, maybe Amazon. Looks like Amazon too. So Freevee and Amazon. A young girl from South Los Angeles tries to make it to the National Spelling Bee. Written and directed by Doug Atchison, starring Angela Bassett, Lawrence Fishburne, Keke Palmer, Curtis Armstrong. Yeah. Curtis Armstrong, J.R. Villarreal, Sean Michael Affable, Lee Thompson Young, R.I.P., C. Ma, and other people. So, yes, we have Aquila and the Bee, Johnny Dangerously, and Ice Age. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, the wheel took a little bit, but we got some pretty good ones out of that, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not upset with any of these, really.
My big two are Ice Age and Johnny Dangerously.
Okay.
I would like to actually eventually finish Johnny Dangerously.
Okay.
It's only an hour and a half as well.
Yeah.
Ice Age, hour and 20. I have, honestly, no preference here.
Neither do I.
Do we want to go with a comedy crime? Another animated comedy? Or a drama spelling bee?
I think let's do Johnny Dangerously. Just because we have both seen it, but both don't really remember it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good... it'd be a nice revisit to see why we don't remember it.
Yeah, I remember it because I saw the back of my eyelids, and that was about it.
I was probably just looking at my phone because I wasn't very interested, but we'll see. I'm going to make sure my phone is not in my hand when watching this.
I think this is one of the movies I tried to do the 365 that 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
So, and like I tried to watch this and I was like,
yeah.
That was a snore for most people who thought I was doing warthog language. But yeah, Johnny Dangerously.
Does this jerk look like a real gangster to you? He looks like Michael Keaton to me.
I love Johnny t-shirts. I love Johnny.
Believe it or not, everybody loves this guy. Broads love him.
I'm not wearing a bra, Johnny.
That makes two of us. Oh, you got what you had left, Ma.
His mother loves him.
I love him, but someday I'm gonna knock him on his...
We should spend some time together.
The DA loves him.
Say, 2 weeks in Puerto Rico.
You got fire. Verb.
The new torch singer loves him.
You got those. I like those on women.
Little babies love him.
Oh, wait.
The warden loves him.
Johnny, it's an honor to have you on death row.
Ah, don't be silly. Pleasure's all mine.
Even the Pope loves him.
Build yourself a new gym at the Vatican, huh?
Well, this is one guy who ain't got no love for this phony. You shouldn't hang me on a hook. My father hung me on a hook once.
Yeah, so Johnny Dangerously on HBO Max is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we're Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, K.F.R.
And I'm Glen, K.F.R.
And that will do it until next week when we see Michael Keaton live dangerously as a man named Johnny. Dangerously.
Wow.
Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. baby.
Smooches.